So we've just talked about you leaving your marriage and why, you leaving Prince Edward Island, you leaving Ottawa and why, and now we're talking about you in Halifax and your decision to work exclusively with women. Can you tell us how that came about?
Well, after I left government and created a partnership with a friend of mine, and we worked together for 10 years going back into government departments, I felt that I wanted to, at that time, work with a smaller group of people and have a bigger impact.
Okay,
At
go
least that's what I
deeper
felt, to
in the
go
work.
deeper, smaller and go deeper. So I began working with groups of usually no more than 10 or 12 women at a time, doing 5-day intensive programs and really encouraging them to begin to explore the patterns and the habitual behaviors that were driving their lives, and in many cases putting them on automatic pilot, and they weren't even aware of them. And to bring that to their conscious awareness, and then to have them in a position where they could choose either to stay as the way they were or to create a new way of being and to move forward in their lives and to become more. So it was as much about my need to become more, and using other women as a way to support me in my evolution. I mean, every time I sat in front of a group of women, I would say, this is as much about me as it is about you. And my reaction to them was all about me, and their reaction to me was all about them. And I did that for 4 years, and then I really burnt myself out. And the big reason for that was that I found myself, and I didn't realize it until I had a chance to reflect a year or so later. I wanted more for them than they wanted for themselves.
That's pretty profound. So you felt that you were working harder at their evolution.
Well, exactly. It's like that it's like that old saying: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
Right.
Well, this is hopefully a more eloquent way of saying it than that. I mean, they were all amazing women, and many of them made huge discoveries about themselves, and they changed their lives. Many of them left their husbands.
Oops.
And it
Side
was
effect.
never intended that, but once they found their voice, they found, like I, that they needed a different kind of relationship.
You did powerful work there. So could you give us a sense of the type of work you did that led to those kinds of transformation?
The work involved, first of all, giving them new information, giving them information about a different worldview, a different way to look at their lives, and to think big, to challenge themselves to go bigger. So there was a lot of conversation, give and take, a lot of time spent on introducing them to breathing as a way to go deeper into their bodies. Because we spend so much time living in our heads and our intellects, and we have these minds that go tick, 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 like crazy monkeys. I wanted to encourage them to get out of their intellects, to get out of their brains, and just begin to experience their bodies. My work with women was like peeling back the onion and getting to the essence of who they really were.
Okay.
And you can't do that when everything is playing in your head like movies.
Okay.
So getting the silence, the quietness, and the breath takes you into that silence where they could just be who they are. And some of them would say to me, well, how do you do that in the middle of a busy meeting when somebody's blah, blah, blah? I said, you just breathe, you take some deep breaths, you just, you can still hear and whatever, but you can feel your body just softening and relaxing. And then amazingly, different things come out of your mouth because
Right.
you
And
access
it
a
changes your
different,
life.
you
Right.
access a different part of who you are.
So you say that you experienced a burnout doing this kind of work, and yet when you spoke earlier, you said that helping these women evolve was also part of your own evolution. You got so much out of it. So there's another point of transformation where you realized that you wanted it more than they did, is how you said it. And you also started to get sick. So can you describe what happened there that brought you out of alignment in some way?
Well, I think, all my life, and I think for many women it's the same thing, I was brought up to look after others and to be nice to people and not to, to always put other people's needs first. I mean, it was, and, I would do this with the women. I would think I wanted them so much to be able to evolve and to become more and to break out of the kind of locked cages they were in. And yet, at the same time, I I would tend to get so wrapped up in their lives that I would forget about me. The impact of not listening to myself and putting all my effort in looking after others has been, it's been dramatic. And I don't want any of this to sound like it's a bed of roses, because dealing with the physical illness is one, but dealing with okay, now I'm 70, who do I become? And all the models around me scream at, you're nothing anymore, just stay home or go to Florida for the winter or go whatever. So there's been a lot of days that I would wake up, and as my feet would hit the floor, I'd think, what's the point? What's the point in getting out of bed? And I'd come down and I'd read the newspaper and have my breakfast and check my emails. Guess what? No emails. I mean, nobody sends me messages anymore. Poor me. Hugely challenging not to fall into the poor me and, oh gosh, my life is over, there's nothing. So it took a lot of just staying still. And, for years I've had this voice inside of me saying, be still, like, stop the chatter and stop the talk and stop the doing and just be quiet, and answers will begin to come to you. And that's been now more important than ever. Taking the time, and I mean, some days I used to laugh and think about that old statement, she took to her bed. Well, there's some days that in the afternoons I just lie out in the sunroom and I go to sleep. I spent a lot of time just sleeping and just relaxing. And
which was your way of staying still. I mean, not just in body, but your mind was getting stiller and stiller. I just shut myself down, and then you get, as you go along, you get these little glimmers of things that start coming up. But there were times when I felt, really, what's the point of it all? What's the point of continuing to live?
Yeah.
What's the point of getting enthusiastic about one more idea?
Yeah, because everybody thinks you're over the hill. But I've always, in all my life, had a lot of fight in me and a lot of curiosity and a lot of, I'm not going to do me in yet. And I mean, that gradually comes back once I've rested. And
there's a rebel in you.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Always has been.
It's a word you've used before, as we were talking about this interview.
That fire to be more, to be curious. I mean, I'm always curious about what else is possible. And every time somebody says you shouldn't do that, I just feel like saying, says who? Says who?
All those rules, about what you're supposed to do at what age and as a woman or not.
I can't be bothered anymore, and I feel like I have 40 years ahead of me, but I don't have the sense of having a lot of time the way I did when I was 20.
What does that create
30?
when you don't have a lot of time?
Well, you don't put up with all those rules and other people's judgments about, you're more willing to take that first step that you don't want to take. You're more willing to forget the other voices saying, oh, don't go there, don't do that, and just say, to heck with it. I was just giving too much. I was giving too much of myself. And as a result, your body never lies. Your body says to you, stop. Like, stop it.
And you weren't listening.
And I wasn't listening. So it says, if you're not going to stop, I'm going to hit you over the head with a 2x4.
And what happened then? So it went from your shoulder to what?
Well, that's basically around the time I had to give up. My back started to really hurt a lot, and it was really, again, another way of my body trying to get my attention, to say, pay attention, just quiet down, like take that step and step back and look after yourself. I developed what a lot of women, I think, over time have developed, something called endometriosis, which is, when cells go a bit rogue out of your uterus and then they start spreading and attaching to everything from your stomach lining to your bowel to your whatever, and then you get this incredible pain because tissue is inflamed and nerves get involved, and so I had to go and have a hysterectomy and get all my reproductive organs removed, which then I thought, metaphorically, I cannot reproduce any longer.
Which
all
was
this destructive behavior.
A relief in a way?
It sure was.
Okay. Because you're a mother, you're a grandmother, and you'll be a great-grandmother at some point. Someday. And so you're saying that you could have taken it as, this is terrible. I've just lost, all of these important organs and my life is over. But you took it as maybe I needed to get that 2x4 to understand that it's no more about helping others, supporting others, doing for others, mothering others, but that it is about you in this third act.